Blessings, namaste, and love, everyone. I am Spiritualist, Psychic Astrologer, and Medium Ray Sette. Once again, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights. And in this segment, we are looking to the month of July 2023. We are already halfway through this extraordinary year. Everything seems to be unfolding at lightning speed. And because of that, we always suggest to be very, very aware, to always just very much be in the moment, be very, very present. Allow yourself to always offer gratitude for the many blessings that are already surrounding you. You know, we always like to look ahead. We always like to plan. And, you know, being an astrologer, being a psychic, sometimes it's very difficult to not look ahead. That being said, we also have to be very aware to be in the moment and to recognize that in this moment we are creating whatever is coming next. And sometimes we miscreate, and we miscreate when we are very unaware of the power of our mind, our thoughts, the words. Remember, words cast spells, as to why vocabulary is referred to as spelling, because the power of the word is part of the creative process. You know, and in July and August we touch upon and we always emphasize the opportunities to really recognize the power of our creative being, that we are all very much creative elements. And I also suggest to recognize that creativity is not specific to art and music. Creativity is multifaceted. It's when we can recognize the imagination and demonstrate and bring to form those ideas which aren't always directed or demonstrated in artistic or musical abilities. So as we go through these times, we are always suggesting to really recognize the power of your creative being, that allows us to also recognize that we are the master of our destiny. And these elements, these are very similar, or rather there's a common thread through many of the alignments that are taking place in this month and going into next month, regarding recognizing our creative being, and but also too recognizing the power of love and really understanding the potential of that element and how extraordinary that quality and facet of our being is. Very much something that every one of us is being inspired, especially during these times now, to recognize and embrace within ourselves. We begin July with a full moon. Now the full moon is exact on July 3rd, and the precise time of the lunation is 7:38 a.m. and that's Eastern Daylight Time. Now the moon is in Capricorn, the sun is in Cancer. Capricorn very much represents our career, our profession, but it's also our goals. And being that it's opposite the sign of Cancer, Cancer and Capricorn are polar opposites. The sun is in Cancer, the moon is in Capricorn at this full moon. Cancer very much, among many things, represents our emotions, our family life, our home environment, our emotional well-being or the lack thereof. But one element that I've been sharing with many clients, especially over these last few years, is that so many are being offered the opportunity to recognize that which we are very passionate about in our lives. And it's my understanding, and I suggest for us to recognize that whatever it is that we are very passionate about in our lives, it very much is a direct connection and understanding of a greater purpose. Passion equals purpose. Just many times we question and we doubt whatever that might be, or that perhaps if we chose to recognize that, we may not necessarily be able to sustain ourselves by experiencing those elements. However, remember, whatever is brought forth in our lives, whatever comes to form, it's really according to our beliefs. If you allow yourself to really recognize and truly believe that you can walk through this existence by demonstrating whatever it is that you are very passionate about. Understand that that's an indication of your purpose, but also too, if you believe that by being so you can comfortably sustain yourself, then you've cast that spell into motion. You set that energy, you set that intention, which certainly allows you to welcome the many blessings of demonstrating whatever it is that you are very passionate about and really connecting it with perhaps your profession. So what I would suggest at this full moon, to really allow yourself to recognize that quality within yourself, allow yourself to honor what you feel you are truly passionate about in your life. Remember, that passion will bring us great joy. There's that saying that whatever it is that we love what we're doing, we never work a day in our lives. So what I would suggest, to really perhaps consider that possibility for yourself. If for whatever reason, if you're not happy in your current profession, really allow yourself this opportunity to reflect on what it is that you are very passionate about. And perhaps if you are not certain of what that might be, this full moon is very much that opportunity to awaken to that passion within yourself. Now, at this full moon, and there's also this, I'll emphasize what I'm referring to and why I'm talking about this so much, especially during these times right now. Now, at the full moon, a full moon brings to fruition whatever energies have been brewing leading up to that time. It will also energize the alignments that are taking place at the time of the full moon and bring forth those elements as well. Now, at this full moon, there's a unique alignment with Mars, Venus, and Pluto. Now, Mars is transiting the sign of Leo, which very much connects with passion, creativity, but also to love. And Mars and Venus are very much in close proximity, within a few degrees of an exact conjunction, which is a new moon element. It's when two elements come together and they are at the exact position along the tropical zodiac. Mars and Venus, which is the planet of love, and which are in the sign of Leo, are in close proximity to one another at the time of the full moon. But they're also making an extraordinary alignment with Pluto at that time as well. Now, that exact alignment with Mars and Pluto, now the significance with Mars and Pluto is that Pluto is referred to as the higher octave, the higher vibration of Mars. Now, this alignment that I'm referring to is called an inconjunct alignment. It's when two elements are 150 degrees apart from one another. That alignment is very powerful, and it's also very transformative, and it does equal to Pluto's power and potentialities. You know, Pluto, especially Pluto and Saturn, they get a bad rap because many times they're misunderstood. And I always emphasize that when we allow ourselves to truly recognize how to work with the potentials and the elements and the energies of any planet or sign, then we can offset any negative qualities of those elements. We just have to understand how to work with the energy. Many times we're not always recognizing how we need to be in alignment with those vibrational frequencies so to bring to form a much more beneficial outcome to the situation. You know, for example, many times certain alignments present the element of change. Now, if we have if we're not comfortable with change, if we're not allowing ourselves to welcome change, then the outcome of the situation may perhaps be less than favorable. However, if we welcome change, whenever we welcome change, change fortifies creative growth, and then those alignments bring us growth, and especially creative growth. So when we allow ourselves to welcome change without trepidation, hesitation, and truly embrace the experience and allow ourselves to go with the flow, then the outcome is a much more favorable and desirable result. We also have to allow ourselves to be open to the possibilities as to what Spirit is showing us regarding what needs to be embarked upon regarding the aforesaid change. So similar with this Pluto alignment, with Pluto The best advice, if you will, that we suggest is allow yourselves to surrender. These Pluto alignments, this Pluto alignment in the element of Pluto, Pluto is the planet that represents transformations, great transformations. And the perfect example is when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon to become a butterfly. Look how dramatic is that metamorphosis. Many times we have those opportunities. We are presented with the opportunity to embark upon such a transformation that allows us to really become who we need to become. Now, what's extraordinary about this alignment, and this alignment that I'm referring to regarding Mars and Venus and Pluto, the Mars-Pluto alignment is exact on July 9th at 8:53 a.m. And the energies of this alignment are with an orb the day before, the day of, and the day after. So July 8th, 9th, and 10th, but specifically on the 9th at 8:53 a.m. This alignment is exact, and with Mars and Venus, it's in the sign of Leo. And what I'm suggesting to recognize at this time is, more than ever, allow yourself to really fully understand the gravity of the power of love. When we allow ourselves to truly understand the scope of that element, the changes that we embrace, the experiences in our lives are extraordinary. And when we allow ourselves to really recognize that element within ourselves, we begin to observe love in many experiences. Now, there's also another element with this alignment on July 9th, and that is connected with the planet Neptune. Now, we have Neptune, Pluto, and Mars and Venus forming an alignment that's referred to as a yod, or a finger of God. Specifically, and in very simple terms, what that indicates is a destiny calling. And of course, how this will configure in our own charts personally will be a little bit more specific to who we are and what we might demonstrate. Some may not feel the influences or the energies of the effect at all. However, this is something universal that I'm suggesting to recognize. Now, as I referred to earlier, that Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So Neptune and Pluto are forming an alignment with one another that are within 60 degrees. Now, directly opposite of that is that Venus-Mars conjunction in the sign of Leo. Now, what I was referring to with Neptune and how all of this is coming together, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. Venus represents mundane love, if you will, and I'm not lessening any type of love experience when I say that. However, Neptune represents spiritual love. This is the love experience that I understand is demonstrated in the spirit realm, that every one of us in human form has the opportunity to embrace and enjoy. This love experience, when we fully understand the magnitude of it and really bring it forth and recognize the power of that being within our own lives, the transformations that we embark upon and which shall unfurl and that we bring to form, are extraordinary. So in very simple terms, because sometimes, I try not to get too abstract or complicated with these understandings and these explanations, because I don't want to create confusion. And sometimes there's so much that we have to factor into arriving at our conclusions with astrology that does require quite a bit of analyzation, if you will, and assessments. But what I suggest to recognize is the opportunity for yourselves personally to fully and completely awaken to the power of love within your being. I'm going to put that out there, and I'm going to suggest allow spirit to fine tune this understanding for yourself personally, because it's only the power of love that will continue to elevate the vibrational frequencies of our earth. So many are concerned with what's going on with the leaders, with political figures. However, I'm not discrediting those concerns. However, I do suggest everyone is to recognize that we are the ones individually who are creating these changes. And if we continue to give our power away to these leaders, if you will, then we're doing just that. We are not being accountable and responsible for all that we are casting in motion. And so that we can continue elevating to these higher levels of consciousness, because what is occurring right now really much is very much an elevation to higher levels of consciousness and universal love, as I referred to earlier, with this alignment that's taking place. And once every individual, or at least the majority of humanity, is individually being in that place of love and non-judgment, then the shifts that will take place in the outside world will be extraordinary, which will continue to elevate us all to these higher levels of consciousness. This is in part what Revelations and the Apocalypse is all about. It's about change. It's about revealing the atrocities that have been taking place in the outside world and empowering every individual to recognize the power of love within themselves. This is also what I understand to be what we've heard to as the second coming. In my understanding, the second coming is when we allow ourselves to recognize the Christ consciousness within ourselves, which simply stated is the power of love that has nothing to do with conventional religion and what we are taught in religion. This alignment on July 9th is an extraordinary opportunity for every one of us to awaken to the Christ consciousness within ourselves. And again, it has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with recognizing, or rather it has everything to be with the power of love. And I cannot emphasize that enough. We are so very much at a critical turning point, and when every one of us will allow ourselves to honor from that place of love and not ego, because that Leo element is also very much steeped in ego when it's not anchored in love. Leo, the lower vibration element of Leo is ego. The higher vibrational element of Leo is love and creativity. Also, when every one of us allows ourselves to really be in that place of love, we also tap into extraordinary and prolific demonstrations of creativity, which is very much part of our God self. You see how this is all very much a common thread right now? Now, our next new moon will be on July 17th, and I always emphasize that the few days, 3 or 4 days leading to the new moon are what's referred to as the balsamic moon phase. It's the last phase of the lunar cycle, which is known as the dark moon, and it's the opportunity to prepare for the coming lunar cycle, which begins on the new moon. Now we have our new moon on July 17th, and it is coming to the late degrees of Cancer. So that late degree does indicate a time of a release. Even though a new moon is a new beginning, what I would suggest, especially during the dark moon, is to recognize wherever there may be present any emotional discord, deep-seated emotions which are being inspired to be released, because by really clearing away those emotions, those discordant emotions, but also this represents and connects with the opportunity to release trauma from the past, because Pluto is very present again with this alignment. It's actually forming an opposition to the new moon, which in opposition is a full moon when two elements are diametrically opposed from one another at 180 degrees. So this time now is very much the opportunity to go very deep within yourself, clear away the discordant energy, any trauma which may have been present from the past that just is operating in the background and does not allow you to really recognize your creative being, the power of love within yourself, as well as what it is that you're very passionate about in your life. All that discords, all those discordant emotions only interfere with our clarity, especially with our emotional well-being, but it also doesn't allow ourselves to be clear within our own emotions, but also it doesn't permit us to be clear with what it is that we are very passionate about in life, which also interferes with the element of love. So you can see again the common theme that's flowing through these alignments during this month and going into next. Now, that Pluto alignment with the Sun specifically, there's on July 21st, which is a few days after the new moon, and actually right before the Sun goes into the sign of Leo, on July 21st at 11:55 p.m., there is an exact opposite alignment with Pluto and the Sun. You know, that when we're not aware of the beneficial potential, it can feel very unsettling. You know, many of us during these times are very much feeling unease. Many are experiencing extreme anxiety experiences, some depression experiences. You know, all of this does represent how we're connecting with the discord and what's going on in the outside world. However, whenever we allow ourselves to recognize the tools that are available for us to offset all these potentially negative experiences, so we certainly empower ourselves that much more. And as always, we suggest to explore the tools available, especially spiritually and metaphysically, that are available, and embrace what resonates with you. If you're having any negative encounters, always recognize and always remember there are tools available. We just have to use those tools and be aware that they're out there. There are many tools out there, and sometimes, yeah, it certainly can feel overwhelming. However, dedicate some time to really allowing yourselves to recognize the importance of creating wellness mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially for yourselves, especially during these times. And all of that will allow you to make the most of these alignments and to offset the negative potential of any arrangement. As I said, whenever we allow ourselves to really work properly, work with the alignments and to go with the flow and really embrace these qualities, we offset any potential negative outcomes of any experience. But always remember, the choice is always ours as to how we're going to embrace what is being presented to us as opportunities regarding these planetary alignments from the universe. This new moon, it's very much a time, as I said, to infuse emotional wellness and to cast in motion whatever it is that you are very passionate about in your life. Remember that passion equals the purpose. Allow the time leading up to that for you to become very clear with whatever that might be. And whatever it is, just honor it. Just honor it right now. Try not to figure out how you're going to make it happen. Once you're certain of that, and once you're open and receptive, Spirit will guide you. This Pluto element, Pluto also is very empowering. It's self-empowering. It gives us the opportunity to really recognize the power of our creative being and that we are all instrumental in creating our realities and really becoming the master of our destiny. And as I said, with the sun, or actually maybe I didn't say that yet, on July 22nd, the sun transits into the sign of Leo. And again, as I said, Leo represents creativity, love, the God element, the power of our being. Leo is ruled by the sun. Now, in years past at this time, I always address the opportunity of what's referred to as the Lion's Gate portal. Simply stated, that time is the opportunity for everyone to awaken to the power of their creative being as well as the power of love. That portal opens on July 27th. It's exact on August 8th, which is 8/8, and it closes around the time of July 12th or 13th. Now, just a simple illustration of what that is. During that time of the Lionsgate portal, there's what's known as the rising of two suns. At the moment of sunrise locally, we have our sun Helios as well as the star Sirius, both rising simultaneously at the moment of sunrise in the constellation and the sign of Leo. And this is the opportunity for all of us, again, to fortify our creative being and the power of our mind, our will, our determination. That's, very simply stated, the great opportunity that we are all presented with during the Lionsgate portal and when the sun transits into the sign of Leo, which begins on July 22nd. Now, I went off, I'm sure, on many tangents in this video. I'm trusting that this information is inspiring you to really recognize your own creative potential in whatever form that might be. Every one of us are very instrumental in creating what's coming next in the outside world. Remember, it's up to us and no one else. I'm not discrediting the significance of some significant individuals who are out there. However, it's the people who are being inspired to create these great changes. And during this time right now, we are all being inspired to recognize, honor, and embrace and really know the power of our creative being, our great potential, and our great purpose. That purpose will also very much contribute to the wellness and the progress and how we continue to creatively evolve on a spiritual level. Once again, everyone, I thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you some of my insights of the many alignments which take place during this month. I'm generating and sending love to everyone. Remain in the light, forever in a place of love, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Many blessings. Namaste.